This video accompanies a pattern I am doing for the Spring 2022 issue of Cast On. That is a child's sweater. And it has a very simple construction that I want to explain first. It's a rectangle. And the reason I'm doing this is the neckline is going to be a boat neck where the bind-off edges are seamed. So you can make the neckline as large as you need it. Kids tend to have very large heads. And the front is exactly the same as the back. That means that when the kid is putting it on, there is no front side, back side. You don't need to worry about it. It's exactly the same on both sides. And I learned that this was a good thing to do when my own children were small. Now, for this particular design, it is important when you do this that you know what is the top, that is the bind-off edge, and the cast-on edge. And so this, if you look at the top, like any bind-off, you're just going to have a chain. You're looking for a chain. That's what you want. That's the top. The bottom looks like this. And I use the smooth size of the cast-on, and the pattern is written that way. So the bottom rather, the cast-on edge is going to look like this, and there's going to be purl bumps on the back. So this is the right side, and that is the cast-on edge. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up, crochet a decorative edge using the guideline of these kind of wavy lines that I've created by working reverse stockinette stitches. That is, I've purled on the right side, one stitch, and knit on the wrong side in order to get these ridges. And it is used as a guideline for when I'm picking up the crocheted edge. Now, I have discovered doing this that it is important that you orient the piece as you do the crocheted edge, not the way you would think. Normally, I'm always going to have the top, and I would be thinking, oh, I'll pick up this way. Well, the problem is that it doesn't look as nice, and I'll show you this after I've worked a bit of it, when you do it this way. It is better if you orient it so that the cast-on edge is at the top. And so I'm basically going to be working with this upside down. Now, when you work with things upside down, the stitches look different. And if I look at these ridges, get one up kind of close. Well, that doesn't look that great. It's just easy to see here. Where I'm going to be picking up is I'm going to be picking up these bottom loops. Notice that there's a top loop and then there's a bottom loop. Remember, this piece is upside down. Where I want to be picking up is the bottom loops, and if I'm not sure what I'm looking at, I can stretch it out and notice that the yarn is coming from up there, and with the bottom loops it's coming from the other side. I want it where it is the bottom loop because that's the right, that when it's when it's turned right side up, that will be correct. Now, I'm using a crochet hook. I have lots of crochet hooks around, and in the pattern I'll specify a crochet hook to use, but use whatever crochet hook you've got. The important thing is that the crochet hook should be able to go through the bottom loop, and you can adjust the size of the chain by how tightly you pull it as you work the crocheted chain. Now, the first step in this is to make a slip knot, and when I make a slip knot, I have a choice. I can make the knot using the end of the yarn that's still attached to the ball, or my working yarn as I'm going to call it, and I could pull it up. But what that means is that to adjust that slip knot, I have to pull the working yarn, which is going to be used for the other loops. So what I want to do is to make the slip knot using the end of the yarn, because what that allows me to do is to control the size of the loop by pulling on the end. And I've noticed as I've done this, sometimes if I've used the other end, the loop might be too big or too small, and you cannot adjust the size. Now, for working this thing, actually, what I am going to do when I finish it is I'm going to have seamed it together so I can work the loops continuously across the side seams. And I've made sure that they will join up exactly where they're supposed to be. So that's not an issue. But it's easier to show you this right now if I am working it flat. So the first step is to, and I can just really start working anywhere, is to pick up the bottom loop, okay? And I must confess, I am probably the worst crocheter you're ever going to see. I don't crochet very often, and when I do, it's usually pretty clumsy and sloppy looking. So keep in mind, your crocheting no doubt will be better than mine. Okay, now I'm going to make my first loop. I'm going to pull the yarn through the purl bumps on that reverse stockinette stitch, and I'm then going to form a chain. So I've got one chain. Whoops, things are shifting around here. Now there's my next loop, and I find it easier if you kind of fold it this way, because then you can see clearly where you're going. Crochet, and again I'm demonstrating my ineptitude with a crochet hook, and wrap it around, pull it through, wrap it around, pull it through, wrap it around, pull it through. And once you get on a rhythm, it's pretty easy to follow, and you just kind of have to adjust as you go so that you can find those proper loops. And if you miss one or you pick up the wrong loop, is it the end of the world? Probably not. And here's this one. And you don't want to pull the chain too tight. You want it to be kind of on the loose side. Oops. Sorry. And pull it in, pull it through. And this is very easy to do, even for a crochet idiot like me. Okay. And I'll do a few more so that you can see how the wavy lines follow the wavy lines of those stitches. Now you can also do this in the same color if you just want the texture. Because this is a kid's sweater, I wanted to have it be a contrasting color. Now you can see that I've got this line. Why did I do it with the cast on edge at the top as I worked it? Well, notice that when I smooth it down, this is how it's going to be looking if I'm looking down at it. This is the reverse side. And it has a natural tendency to kind of fall this way. And that just looks better. You can do it that way if you like that look better, but I prefer it this way. So if this is the bottom of the sweater, as I'm wearing it, you can see that that's just a nicer appearance than having it go that way. So this is a pretty easy thing to do, even for a non-crocheter like me. And it is a cute little way of jazzing up a kid's design.